Something that has become very clear to me about South Africa today is that it is black people and black people only who have the power to save it. Because white people like myself represent less than 10% of the overall population. By the numbers, it doesn't matter who we vote for on a national level, because if black people don't vote alongside us, our votes mean nothing. And so that's what I'm going to address in today's video. The cause of black suffering in South Africa can be attributed to two primary reasons: the kind of leaders you elect and support, and the problems within your own culture, because you're always looking for somebody else to come along and save you. Look at the leaders you prioritize. You have a man like Cyril Ramaphosa, the current president, who talks about how important and wonderful black economic empowerment legislation is. It makes him and his friends rich, while most ordinary black South Africans struggle to find work. Then you have a man like Julius Malema of the Economic Freedom Fighters, a man promising you economic freedom using policies, namely communism, that have never worked anywhere in the world where they have been tried, and in fact caused the deaths of millions of ordinary people. And then, finally, you have a man like Jacob Zuma, someone who claims to stand for the traditional African way and to be proud of his Zulu heritage. But while he was president as a member of the ANC, he sold this country to a family of Indian businessmen and allowed them to loot everything they could get their hands on. And then, even outside of government, you have the same problem where you follow leaders who don't have your best interests at heart. And now I'm talking about someone like Jacinta Ngobese Zuma. I'm sad to be talking about her because in previous videos, for quite a long time in fact, I spoke in defense of her because fundamentally I agree that illegal immigration from across Africa is a legitimate problem for us here in this country, and it is adding to South Africa's burden. However, I now realize, after listening to the woman speak at length, that Jacinta Ngobese Zuma is a bad leader. Her movement, March and March, might claim to be about illegal immigration, but what really drives March and March is Jacinta's ego, her desire for power, and her desire for attention. She has caused massive chaos across the country, chaos which is still growing even now. I say this as somebody who lives in KwaZulu Natal, one of the hardest hit areas. Jacinta has caused massive chaos, and while she herself does not publicly advocate for violence, she has now created a monster that she cannot control. And the thing is that even if Jacinta gets her wish and all the illegals simply vanish from South Africa, unless you make better choices in terms of who you allow to govern this country, the problems will continue, because the problem of illegal immigration is just a symptom of the ANC's policies, which itself is a symptom of how black people have chosen to vote over the years. In the late 90s, when the ANC first started revealing how corrupt they are, you should have voted them out then, as white people have been warning you to do for years. But no, Instead, because they have black skin and they made you some nice promises every election, you gave them chance after chance after chance. And now look at what South Africa has become. I'm going to say something controversial now, but it is true, so I don't care who it offends. Life under apartheid, practically speaking, not socially, but practically, was better for everyone, even black South Africans who were being oppressed, because for all that they did wrong, and the National Party did many things wrong, especially to black people, the one thing they did know how to do was how to properly govern a country. Life was safer, it was more stable, and even more prosperous. Because now, under the ANC and the GNU, what you have is a small black political elite and a very poor black majority. And so, this is why I say it's up to black people to make things better. White people, we don't have any power. Not really. Yes, there are some wealthy white billionaires, one or two of them. But just because that's true doesn't mean all the rest of us live like billionaires. On that subject, I want to address something because a common thing that black people tell me in response to my videos is that you're white, you're middle class, you don't know what it's like to suffer. So I'm going to tell you some stuff about myself. In the course of this video, you may have noticed that my body moves in a strange way, or that my speech sometimes seems a bit forced. That is because I was born with a disability known as quadriplegic cerebral palsy. What that is a disability caused by brain damage which I suffered at birth. And what it does is that it means my brain does not properly control my muscles. I cannot walk. I have needed a wheelchair since birth. My body is in constant pain because my muscles are always tight and uncomfortable. I can't get rest by myself. I can't bath by myself. I can't cook for myself. And I can't clean my own home. Because of my race and my disability, I am essentially locked out of the South African economy, even though I have been to college and have worked in the field I studied, which was journalism. An important point to note here, which I have noted before, but I will do again, is that I grew up in the 90s and early 2000s. As a child, I went to government schools where I had to have speech therapy for nearly a decade until I was 10 years old, because as a young child, only my family could understand what I said when I spoke. At the government schools I attended, the majority of my classmates, also disabled, were black. And when I went to a private college after high school to study journalism, all of my classmates in that year were black. I was the only white student. My point is that there is nothing I have access to that black people can't also access. And it has been that way my entire life. And now, because I am both white and disabled, my economic opportunities in South Africa are basically non-existent. So when some angry black person comes along to tell me that because I'm white, I don't know what it's like to suffer, I just swear at them if I bother to respond at all. So my main message here is that the future of South Africa is out of my hands, and it's out of the hands of most white people. Because if you want a better country, then you, as black citizens, have to make one.